Hi everyone, it's Ashley, back for another baking video with you. This week it is sourdough scones, and it's coming to you from the website feastingathome.com. So these look like pretty easy scones. They looked pretty tasty, so let's give them a shot. And this week's video is dedicated to my friend and coworker Mima, whom has a birthday coming up very soon and will be getting some of these scones, so I hope she likes them. Anyway, I'm going to turn you guys around and we're going to talk about what's needed for this. So, what you're going to need is a lot of stuff. Really, it looks kind of like a lot of stuff, and it is comparatively, since we've been doing a lot of bread and things that are a little bit simpler. So, but it's all stuff that most of you should probably have at home. So first off, we're going to start by lining an 8-inch cake pan with parchment. So there's cake pan, there's the parchment. We're going to have 2 cups of blueberries, or any blueberry. This is actually blackberry lemon scones is what the recipe said. But I didn't have blackberries. They're not in season, so I couldn't go get them. So we did some blueberries. You're going to need the zest of 1 lemon. You're going to need a half a teaspoon of salt. Sea salt, as always, is great. You're going to do a tablespoon and a half of baking powder and teaspoon, scratch that. A teaspoon and a half of baking powder, a half a teaspoon of baking soda. You're going to do 1 cup of our awesome sourdough starter. You're going to have a 1/3 cup of milk of your choice. Now, this can be regular milk. This can be almond milk. It can be soy milk. Any milk will do. You're going to have your all-purpose flour. And you're going to do 2.5 cups of all-purpose flour. You're going to do a half a cup of sugar. And you're going to do some butter. So you're going to do a half cup of butter, which for those of you out there who might not know, it is 1 stick of butter. So I don't have a food processor, but I did some research, and a KitchenAid blender, or even a regular blender that blends smoothies and stuff, could even work for you. So we're going to start off, and you're going to kind of do this in 2 separate ways. So the site says if your berries aren't frozen, and mine were, but they said if they aren't frozen, go ahead and cut them in the baking dish. Seems like a lot. Maybe, I think that's 8-inch. Well, we'll give it a shot. They'll be very blueberry scones. So you put them in the baking dish if they're not frozen, and stick them in the freezer for 30 to 60 minutes. Mine are frozen, so I'm just going to put them in there to get them ready regardless. And you're going to add some of the dry ingredients together first. So we're going to do flour. So we'll add the flour. And it actually says with the butter to just cut it into 8 pieces. So you don't have to cut it this much if you have a food processor and can just pulse it. But I'm doing it this way because I don't have a food processor, and I'll probably crumble it in by hand. So you got your 2 cups of flour in there. You're going to add your lemon zest. One of my absolute favorite things to add to any recipe, lemon zest. Love it. You are going to next add your salt, baking powder, and sugar. So I'm going to go ahead and just add my salt to my baking powder and baking soda. Sorry, 3 of those. And baking soda likes to stick sometimes. So we'll get those in there, getting a nice little mixture of stuff. And then we'll add the sugar. So you got all your nice, lovely, dry ingredients in there. And we're going to mix these together to kind of get it all intermixed. And I like to do it on high speed because I feel like it blends it a little bit better together. You can do it however you like. Again, if you have a food processor, that is a great thing. My husband and I's food processor is packed away in Boise, Idaho, believe it or not. So, that's mixed in. And then you're going to pulsing the butter. So I'm going to try it this way. Since, you know, we always just have fun, don't we? We're going to just try it this way and just try and add it in and let it blend together. I use the paddle because it'll do more than the bread hook, and it'll do less than the whisk. And that's what I wanted. I didn't want to whisk this stuff all together, but to just incorporate it. So if nothing else, and it looks like it's doing exactly what I thought, which was just kind of dusting the butter. So what you're going to want to do at this point, probably, since it's not really incorporating it like I hoped it would and crumbling it, is you're going to want to turn this off, and you're going to pop it out. And you're going to get in there and get your hands a little dirty. But I've always really enjoyed getting my hands dirty. And again, when you crumble, oh, gosh, you guys, I wish you could smell the lemon zest in this. It's amazing. You know, I might even throw in some poppy seeds for kicks and giggles. I don't know. My husband says I like to jazz up recipes, and that's not always a good thing. So, anyways, get in there and get it crumbled, and we'll take a look at this when this all comes together and start adding the wet ingredients. Okay guys, so once you got that butter incorporated, and you're going to want it about the consistency of sand. So crumbly and sandy and awesome. So you're going to take that and set it aside, and you're going to get yourself another small bowl, and you're going to add your sourdough, your cup of sourdough to it. I'm going to grab a fork to kind of scrape that out of there. You're going to add your cup of sourdough and your milk together for the liquid part. And you're going to mix them up. And I'm just going to mix them by hand because, you know, keep it simple. Oh, there we go. Okay. So sourdough and a 1/3 cup milk, cup of sourdough starter. Now, if you don't have sourdough starter and you still want to make these scones, you can use sour cream or plain yogurt as well, and those work just fine. So I happen to like my sourdough starter. I find it works quite well for many things, so we're going to use that today. Oh, that's a real nice consistency. So it's almost like a pancake batter consistency. Whoop! Well, good thing there's plenty of it. So you just add that into your dry mixture, and we're going to put that back on the mixer, and you might need a spoon, or I'm going to get a spatula because this at the bottom of this is kind of sticky. So just set it back onto the mixer and blend this up, but don't blend it too much. They say kind of a rough dough. So I'm sure many of you guys have done recipes where it says blend until just blended together. Kind of the similar thing here, but you actually kind of want a bit of a dough, but you don't want it overworked. So yeah. So we'll toss that back on there. Give it a start. Let it come together. And then what you're gonna do is you're gonna put this onto the blueberries. So I wound up taking a couple blueberries out because I was like, whoa, that's a lot of blueberries. But you're gonna wind up putting that mixture onto the blueberries and kind of getting it smooched down in there. There we go. Oh my gosh, you guys, it smells so good. So if you can, let me see if I can scoop this. So it's kind of, you know, it's still a little clumpy, still a little Play-Doh in rough form shape-esque. Get that all off of there. I think these would be great with tea. I haven't, you know, I guess I haven't tried them, so I can't say, but my goodness, that lemon smell alone makes me want a cup of tea and one of these to be done. So I'm going to pop off my little thing so I can get at it easier. And I'm going to kind of get down in there and get the stuff off the bottom and get that mixed into it, because if you're like me, your mixer always has a little bit of dry stuff on the bottom. So I'm just gonna kind of, it's really kind of a stiff dough. So you're gonna kind of just wanna push the bottom stuff into it. But again, don't overwork it, just incorporate stuff until you get a nice mass. And I feel like this is a little bit dry, but I'm gonna give it the benefit of the doubt. Like my husband said, sometimes I need to calm down and let the recipe be the recipe. And he's probably right. So I took it out and I'm kind of gently incorporating stuff together on the counter. I want to make sure I get every last good yummy thing. So at this point, I'm going to double check this recipe because like you guys, sometimes I do these with you for the first time, and I think that makes it more fun because you guys get to see me make mistakes if I do make them and learn from my mistakes. So let me double check something. Okay, so yep, it says spread this over the blackberries. So this is, I mean, it's a pretty good dough. So we're gonna kind of, interpreting this, and again, who knows if I'm right or not, is kind of pushing the dough down into the blackberries. Now, you guys want to make the top relatively even because what you're going to do is you're going to freeze this. You're going to freeze it for, I think, it said 2 hours. Yep. Place in freezer for 2 hours. I'm going to cover it. I don't like stuff uncovered in my fridge and freezer, but I'm going to cover it and put it in the freezer. And then what you're going to do when you pull it out is you're going to invert it and cut it into some scone shapes. So, yeah. This is not the way I've made scones before, but again, you know, the great thing is everybody has their own ways, and there's multiple ways to the next point. You know, you don't always have to take the straight and narrow road. You can take the path least traveled. So, let's give this a couple hours, and we'll take a look and see how it looks out of the freezer. All right, guys, I'm back. So the scones have been in the freezer, and they were in the round tin, and I cut them up. So I'm not 100% sure I did this right because there's no video and pictures with these that I seen, but you know, I kind of skipped ahead. I'm a little tired after a long day. It was on the Feasting at Home website. So again, there's the scones. They're cut into 8 kind of like pizza slices. I'm actually partial to round scones, but do them however you want. If you want to do like an octagonal scone, do an octagon scone. So get your sheet lined with parchment paper. Oven's at 400. And you're going to put these bad boys in for 25 minutes. And hopefully they turn out all right. So I'm going to toss them in. And while those are in, you're going to make the glaze for them. So it's a 1/4 cup lemon juice. Now I just used the lemon that I grated the zest from. And went ahead and put that in a saucepan. And then it calls for a cup of powdered sugar. So 1/4 cup lemon juice, cup of powdered sugar, and there is an option for a tablespoon of butter. Now mind you, when it says option for butter, how do you not take that option? It's butter. It's butter. Take the butter and put the butter in the sauce because it's going to be even better. So anyways, so tablespoon of butter, 1/4 cup of lemon juice, cup of powdered sugar, bring them to a gentle cooking boil so everything melds together, and then that's what's going to go on the top of your scones. So we'll give it a few minutes and we'll take a look at how they turned out. See you soon. Alrighty guys, so the scones came out of the oven and I wanted to test it out, and I put some blueberry side down and blueberry side up. And the blueberry side down ones look more like a pie. And I had to kind of scrape some of the blueberries off the parchment. So I would say blueberry up. But I think when you go to put the dough on the pan and squidge it down into the blueberries, get it more squidged into the blueberries than I did. But they still are really yummy. So, I'm trying not to get my phone sticky. Here's what they look like. There's one missing because I'm eating it. And what you have too is your like syrup, which with the butter and the lemon juice and the powdered sugar, and you just kind of drizzle it over them and let it kind of soak in. And they're actually really good. I gotta say, disappointingly good, because that means I might make them again and eat more. So, anywho, enjoy your blueberry scones, and until next time, keep on baking. Bye, guys.